Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, and I am your host. And today I have with me a member of our executive leadership team, Jane Fairall. Jane, go ahead and say hello to our listeners and tell them what it is you do here for the town.
Good morning. My name is Jane Fairall, and I'm the town attorney for the town.
What in the world does that mean, Jane? What does a town attorney do?
I provide legal advice to the town council, to town manager, to all of the town departments. We also, in our department, prosecute misdemeanor crimes in the town of Marana, and that's about it.
A wide variety of things being done in the legal office, and I can tell you, as somebody who has benefited tremendously over the years, not only as the town manager, but as the police chief, from the good advice that has come from Jane Fairall and her staff, Libby, and the rest of the group. So greatly appreciate the work that you do. But today, Jane, you're going to be on the hot seat.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Now, typically, you're the person that is grilling others. Today, you're going to get grilled, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I'm not, but that's all right. Yes, cross-examining is usually the thing that I do, not that I have to respond to.
Right. So, well, before we get into that, though, just a little bit of an icebreaker, because I know, like growing up, you were like really into princess stuff and Barbie dolls and things like that. So, tell me a little bit about your childhood and your favorite Barbie doll.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Tucson, and I was not into princess things or dolls or any sort of thing.
And I knew
like
that. I was being facetious. Jane was big into sports, so tell us a little bit about your athletic endeavors and time.
I've played baseball and softball from the time I was about 4 years old and was able to put a baseball glove on my hand. First, I played baseball with boys, and I was one of only two girls in the Little League. And then they made me switch over to girls softball when I was about 10 or 11 years old.
Did that tick you off, Jane?
Yes, it did. Mostly because of the outfit we had to wear. It was like a blouse that my mom had to iron that had buttons down the front and a collar.
That's not a baseball uniform, right? Yeah. So Jane is one of those people that is highly, highly competitive, I would say. We've had a few fit for duty competitions and challenges, and she and her staff bring it every year, trying to compete. And I've seen that fiery, competitive spirit in Jane throughout my time of knowing her. So although I'm looking forward to this, I am going to mind my P's and Q's because I don't want to get on Jane's bad side. So we got a topic today, Jane, and it's a topic that it's not a new topic to us, but it is one that surfaced with kind of a new development, if you will, in the last couple of days, and it made the news yesterday, and there was a headline. So I want to know, the headline said something to the effect of Marana acts illegally, right? So why in the world, Jane, did the town of Marana, the Supreme Court of the state of Arizona, ruled that the town of Marana conducted themselves in an illegal way? Tell us why in the world would the town of Marana do that with you at the helm as our town attorney?
Well, I would say that the headline is a little bit misleading.
Say it isn't so, Jane. How can that be? That's not possible.
We have development impact fees that are covered under Arizona state law. We're permitted to assess impact fees on new development to help pay for infrastructure and necessary public services that are needed to serve new development. What the Supreme Court case said is that we can do that. We have done that, but that we need to kind of recalculate how much, what proportion is going to new development versus existing development. And this is specifically regarding the fees that the town or the costs that the town incurred when we acquired the wastewater treatment facility plant from Pima County in 2013, and then when we did some expansion work on it after we acquired it.
Okay, so let me just make sure that I had this straight in my mind so that the listeners hopefully can get it straight, because this is not an easy topic for people to understand. I mean, people who deal with it all the time, such as yourself and our former town attorney, Frank Cassidy, it's complicated for everybody. It's complicated for the judges. It's complicated for the attorneys. So certainly it's complicated for lay people like myself. But so in essence, the town decided to go out and purchase a wastewater treatment facility.
Yes.
Correct? And part of the cost of that, to pay for that, the town pitched in some money for that, paid some money for that, to the tune of?
The town, when we acquired it, we actually did have some costs out of the general fund, but we bonded for all the costs for the debt that we incurred when we got it from Pima County, plus anything that we had pitched in from the general fund. But when we expanded it a few years later, the town pitched in $3.2 million towards those costs. Additionally, the costs were originally estimated to be about $27 million, and that's what we had in our impact fee program. The costs ended up being closer to $23 million, so the town also made up that difference as well.
Okay, you said the original was $27 million, but it was originally 17 and ended up being 23?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. So $17 million was the original cost that we put in the impact fees. It ended up costing 23. So the town came out of pocket $6 million from the general fund. So there's monies that the town contributed, and the rest of that are put in the impact fees are paid by new development that has an impact on that particular item in the impact fees. Am I explaining that right?
Yes, that's correct. So I think we should probably talk about why we acquired the wastewater treatment plant.
Ooh, the why is always important.
Right. So the Arizona water law requires us to have a 100-year assured water supply to serve new development whenever we're approving new developments. And one of the ways that we can acquire water resources is by recharging the effluent that comes out of the wastewater treatment plant. That's the reason why we acquired it. Not because we wanted to provide sewer services to people, but because we wanted the ability to recharge the effluent, which is a way of purifying the water and putting it back into the aquifer so that we get water credits that can be a part of our water portfolio for our 100-year assured water supply. So the whole reason for doing that is for new development, because existing development already has water. You know, the subdivisions that are already built have already got their assured water supply. They don't need more water. So the whole reason we did that was to provide the water needed for new development.
Now we're getting to the heart of the matter, right?
Right.
The heart of the matter is water is a precious commodity in the desert. And we need to do everything that we can, number one, to conserve it, but we also need to do what we can in order to ensure that the community continues to grow. And in order for the community to grow, we have to have those water credits, those water resources for that new development to come in.
That's correct. And this is a cost-effective way, and it's also a good way environmentally because it does recharge and put water back into the aquifer. It benefits everybody by doing that. But the reason why we need it is for new development.
Being good stewards of a valuable resources, right, and ensuring that the town continues to grow. So I want to get this straight. The headline was like so shocking. I was like, and I hadn't heard that we'd acted illegally. So you read the article, and that's typically not what happens. You know, people, a lot of in the news industry, right? Even I think we even do it to a certain extent with our podcast. Sometimes we put out a title out there that is kind of like, what? And then people click on it, right? And they want to listen to it. So I think that's common, and I don't begrudge the media for doing that. But the title, we acted illegal, is there anything, in the decision that indicates that we acted illegally?
No. What the decision held, and I think there's a couple of really important points. The decision acknowledged that the services that we're providing by acquiring the treatment plant, both the sewer services that it provides and the recharging of effluent and the water resource it provides, that all of those things are necessary public services. I think the exact language they used was most, if not all, qualify as necessary public services under the impact fee statutes under state law. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. They agreed with us.
Which is an important fact for us, right?
Yes. In order to charge impact fees for anything, it has to be a necessary public service. And so the Supreme Court agreed with the town that these services we're providing via the plant and that we were charging fees for are necessary public services. They also agreed with us that new development needs to pay its fair share of all of these costs that we were just discussing, acquiring the plant, the debt we acquired for it, the expenses for the expansion work and improvements that we had to do to it. They agreed with us and acknowledged, yes, new development needs to pay its fair share. So all of those things are legal. They're confirming that these are legal actions that the town took. What the Supreme Court said we did wrong was that we didn't do a mathematical calculation to assess and analyze how much goes to new development versus how much it should be paid by existing development. The town, it's a very confusing, complicated statute, as you alluded to. It's several pages long.
Right.
We made a good faith effort to comply with what we believed the statute required us to do, which we believed that we needed to show that there was proportionality. But the Supreme Court is asking us to do more. So what they have done is sent it back to Pima County Superior Court, the trial court, and asked us to do this analysis to show our math, for lack of a better word. When you're a kid and you're in math class,
right,
and your teacher says, show your work.
Show your work.
That's kind of the way that I would put it. I'm oversimplifying it, but that they want us to go through a mathematical analysis, apportioning what cost goes to new development versus existing, rather than just the proportionate amount that we chose by adding in the $3.2 million from the town and covering the overage.
Correct. So $3.2 million plus another $6 million that was
Right.
contributed by the town. We, in our estimations, didn't do our work to prove that out, that would be the portion that be attributed to development that is currently here. But we have to go back and show our work that says, yeah, that is the case. Now, so I had somebody that asked me today, said, oh man, I saw that article. I said, well, did you read the article? No, I didn't read it, but I saw the headline. So it sounds like you're going to have to pay back all your impact fees. Is that a true statement? The town's going to have to pay back all these impact fees?
No, it's not.
Right.
What the Supreme Court did was it's called a remand. They remanded it back to Pima County Superior Court, which is the trial court, for the trial court to kind of tussle with this issue of how they want us to go about showing our work, how they want us to show them that math and analysis. So we will have to wait for some direction from the Superior Court once it gets back to them or to the judge. But no, there's nothing in there that says that we have to pay back the fees. The court didn't. This originally came about. The whole litigation came about as a declaratory judgment action filed by the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association, SABA, asking the court to say we couldn't charge these fees.
Right.
And that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
No.
I mean, that's like the opposite of what happened. The courts in fact said you do get to charge those fees.
Right.
And the things that we were charging them for were appropriate.
Right.
Okay.
They just said go back and do more to show which portion should go be apportioned to new development versus existing development.
All right. So let me just get a couple of things here clear in my head and clear for the listeners. Did the town of Marana act illegally? Are we in trouble? Are we going to get penalized? Are we going to get fined? Are you going to end up in jail, Jane, because of all this?
God, I hope not.
Me too.
No, none of that is it is going to happen. Like I said, it's a matter of going back through the process, kind of looking at what the statute requires us to do in a little bit of a different way, and presenting, because one of the other things is that the statute changed significantly in 2011, and this is really the first big court case that's telling us how to apply it now.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
so
That's good information.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a new case that's going to apply to everybody in the state, all municipalities in the state, telling us this is what we expect you to do when you're apportioning costs from new development. And so that's essentially all we have to do at this point. We're not paying back anything. We're not getting a fine. We're not going to jail. None of those things. So we'll go back and we'll do what the court told us to do.
Excellent.
We'll do the analysis. We'll show our work, present the evidence, and see where that takes us.
Excellent. Well, Jane, this has all been great information. I think it's going to be really helpful for our listeners to really kind of clear the air and help people understand what's truly going on. Before we close things out, is there anything else that you'd like to add, anything you think the listeners should know about?
I think the only thing that I can think of is that this litigation has been going on since 2018. It was originally filed in the Pima County Superior Court, which is the trial court for this type of litigation. And the town did prevail in the trial court. We won in the trial court. They ruled in our favor, the judge. And then it was the Home Builders Association that appealed it to the Arizona Court of Appeals. And again, the Court of Appeals upheld the decision of the trial court and ruled in the town's favor. So then the Home Builders Association asked the Arizona Supreme Court to take the case and take a look at it. They
just don't give up, do they?
No. And so this new ruling is the first time that a court has told us that we need to do this differently. The previous two courts ruled in our favor, and I just think it's important to know that that's how this has all unfolded over the years. So there's even been a difference of opinion and a difference of interpretation of the statute by the various courts that have taken a look at it, because it is complicated. The Arizona Supreme Court does have the final say. So as I said a little bit ago, we will do what they've told us to do, and we'll go back to the trial court and make this calculation, this analysis that they've told us we need to do.
Very good. So it's not like a baseball series, a 3-game series where we won 2 and they won 1 and we go home and we're done. We got to go through all this and still comply with what the Supreme Court has recommended to us or advised us to do, and we'll do that and we'll see how it all plays out.
That's right. The Arizona Supreme Court gets to overrule the other two. It's not 2 to 1. It's
Man, bummer.
1 to 2.
Bummer. So to sum things up for our listeners, if you read the article, if you heard people talking about it, so you know, Jane Fairall's not going to jail. Neither is Terry Rozema or anybody else in the town. We did not act illegally. That's an inaccurate statement, but a great catchy headline that causes people to click on the news story. If you read the story and you listen here to what Jane Fairall has told us today, I think it's abundantly clear that the town is working through a process. It's a difficult, complicated process. The courts are making rulings on, and we're going to have to go back to the drawing board with regard to a formula of some sort, a calculation, our math, whatever that is, that kind of shows the things that we believe to be true are in fact true. So we'll move forward, we'll press on, and we'll certainly keep our listeners updated on how this thing unfolds. But I, for one, Jane, am so glad you are not going to go to jail.
Me too.
Yes, it's
Thank
good
you.
news. Yeah. All right. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in and listening to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. Until next time. Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk, and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.